Hi, my name is Tanya Greaser. I'm the Family Services Educator with HSC. I'm really pleased to be introducing this next session because I think it is such a great concept. My family service colleagues, Anna Paret and Barb Horner, are going to be discussing how life or memory books can help capture who we are as people and how the life or memory book can help us see the individual beyond Huntington disease. Now, let me introduce Anna and Barb to you. Anna is a registered social worker and the Resource Center Director, or RCD, for Southwestern Ontario. HSC happily welcomed her to the Family Services team in April of this year. Barb is a registered social worker and has been a member of the HSC Family Services team since 2004. As an RCD, Barb supports individual and families affected by HD who live in Nova Scotia and PEI. Like the rest of the Family Services team, Anna and Barb provide support, education, resources, and advocacy to individuals, families affected by Huntington disease living in Canada. Anna and Barb, I'll pass the virtual microphone over to you.
Hi, thanks, Tanya. And hi, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. What a great conference it has been. It's my first one, and it's been amazing. And I sincerely hope that it has been an enriching experience for you as you engage in new learnings and making new connections and sharing your journey with others. And it's not over yet, so please stick around after our presentation for the closing keynote by author Dana Horn, who wrote the book Chronic Resilience, where she writes with such honesty and grace her intimate journey with living with chronic disease, sharing self-care ideas and guiding the reader towards self-compassion. I have had a quick chance to skim the book, and I have to say it is a must read. And I highly recommend that you add this book to your Christmas wish list for sure. And speaking of the holidays and making memories, welcome to This Is Me, Capturing and Sharing Memories, Creating a Life Memory Book. And in this session, we want you to walk away with these 3 takeaways. First, we will talk about the benefits and importance of capturing and sharing memories, sharing with you some of the science and noted benefits behind life memory books. And secondly, I want to talk about the various and very useful ways that this book can be used. This will definitely not be a book that will sit on your shelf. In the third takeaway, we will share some creative ideas and show you some examples of how you can record your memories and how it can look like. It can really be a book, it could be a page, it could be a collage, or it can be a video. And here's a big hint, it's going to be as individual as you are, and how you decide to record your memories will be as unique and personal as your life journey has been. So let's dive in.
Hi, I'm Barb Horner. It has been a privilege to work within the Huntington Society community and for the Huntington Society for the last 18 years. It's been a privilege supporting our HD communities and building relationships with our families and our community partners. And I'm very pleased to be here.
And I'm Anna Paret. I'm the Resource Center Director for Southwestern Ontario. And for those of you here who are from Ontario, that actually literally means everything south of 401. So from the tip of Bowen Sound into the west towards Chatham and through into the Haldimand and Brant County. And I've been with the Huntington Society since April of 2022. And I just want to take a moment to thank you for giving me the privilege to support you, those who live with HD, those who are loved ones of someone with HD, and those who are caregivers to someone with HD. It has been a true honor to walk alongside you. And to our community partners who work alongside us, thank you for being engaged in learning and supporting our society. We came across this quote and we found it really resonated with us and perfectly spoke to our feelings around the topic of our presentation. Some of the greatest connections can be made when we share a piece of our lives through story with others. For a story can only be a story when it is shared, and the very nature of story is in its shared experience. And every person, every one of us, is a story with beginnings and endings, paths taken and not taken, and experiences lived. Everyone is a story, and that story is shared through the recall of memories. And it's in the emotions contained within these memories that make them feel real once again, once we remember them. And our lives are made up of these moments, and we are the sum total of these moments, and they make us who we are. And as HD progresses, it is very easy to lose sight of that sum total of these moments, and thus losing sight of who we truly are. So it is our hope that the process of creating a life memory book can help recapture these moments to remind us of who we are, or to remind us of who our loved one really is before HD made us forget.
So who am I? I'm sure most of us ask ourselves this question at different times throughout our lives. If any of us were to lose the ability to verbally share our story due to memory loss, insight, communication challenges, isolation, or illness, then we really would need to find another way for our stories to be told. Our work within the HD community can mean different things to different people. It's about building relationships, advocating for services for our clients, doing referrals to services and supports, contacting medical personnel, collaborating with healthcare providers, provide resources and information ongoing to our families, the medical field, health professionals. And most of us attend an HD or movement disorder clinic. A large part of what we do is to provide HD education in services and presentations to hospitals, long-term cares, community colleges, universities, and so on. So the more we know about you and what makes you tick gives us a greater chance of having success in supporting you and providing the best possible support to you and the others involved in your life. I'm going to talk a little bit about the lessons that I've learned by taking the time to listen. A number of years ago, I had a group of ladies who entered long-term care around the same time. These ladies were part of a support group that I facilitated once a month. And we continued this group when these ladies moved into the same long-term care. As their HD was progressing and motor skills and coordination were becoming more difficult, our support group was really merging into more of a social time. And I brought up the idea of creating memory books together. And they thought it was a fantastic idea. And so I went out and I purchased photo albums for each of the ladies. And then as a group, I asked them, what would you want your book to say? And these were the headings that the ladies came up with together. Who I am, where I was born, my birth date, my history, things I enjoy, how I like to celebrate my birthday, a very important point, who my family is, things I like to do, my friends, food I dislike, and favorite food, my employment and career. And the last was 3 things about me that I would want people to know. So I typed up these headings, put them into each of their photo albums, and then I sat with them, each of them separately, and got them to fill in these headings for me, one-on-one at different times, on an individual basis. And then when that was done, we came together monthly, and their job was to decorate the pages. But during this time, just by sitting and listening to them, having so much pleasure in being able to relive their history, I learned so much from these ladies. It generated such conversation as a group, And it was really wonderful to see them relive these experiences with such passion and delight. So from this experience, I realized the critical importance of really listening to others and how meaningful it truly is to tell our stories.
And I would like to share with you the lessons that I learned by asking the right questions. So before joining the Huntington Society, I worked within the long-term care setting. And there were a few residents that were presenting what we call responsive type behaviors. And for those who are not aware of that term, what it means is that it's a reaction when verbally they're not able to say something. So behavior speaks. And this just reminded me of a quote that somebody said to me, that when I approach with someone with responsive behaviors, the person is not trying to give you a hard time, they are having a hard time. And that has always stayed with me. So after a few strategies were implemented and there was really no success of changing the behavior in a long-term way, I was tasked to observe the residents to find what the trigger is, the reason behind the behavior, to weed out the reaction so we can address it effectively and long-term, hopefully. So I want to share with you one particular situation. I was standing back and was observing one particular resident and their interaction with staff as they assisted him with his morning personal care routine. Now, I'm not sure if you've ever been in a long-term care setting, but I'll tell you, mornings are a very hectic and busy time, with support workers helping residents get ready for their day, taking them for breakfast, nurses trying to dispense medicine. So you can tell how hectic it is. So I watched as this team member approached this gentleman, and they began working away, wished him a good morning, and they dove right into his care. He swatted her away. I thought, that's quite interesting. And I looked at his face and saw the scowl on his face. She paused and tried to wash his face again. At this point, he just threw his towel and just turned his back to her and turned into the corner and ignored her. And she looked at me for some advice or some insight, which I honestly at that time really didn't have, but I suggested that she just, leave, take care of another person while I visited with him and see if I can get him ready. So I sat on his bed, introduced myself to him, and I really had no response from him. So I tried to start a conversation. I commented on how beautiful it was outside and how it seemed like the day was going to be a pleasant, beautiful day. I got a slight grunt on that one. Then I noticed a Santa on his bedside table, and I complimented him on his Santa, stating how beautiful it was and how seeing the Santa reminded me of Christmas past. At this point, he did give me kind of a side eye and glanced towards the Santa. A few moments passed, and he quietly said, "No, Christmas is my favorite holiday." And I said, "Hey, mine too. I just love everything about it. The smell of gingerbread, the Christmas carols, the lights." And then he suddenly turned his chair towards me and shared how much he loved making gingerbread houses when he was a young man with his siblings and how they would get into a rambunctious mess after having so much sugar. He actually smiled and told me that they would be bouncing off the walls all day, and he shook his head and said, "My poor mom, what she went through with us at Christmas." So it occurred to me as we were having this conversation about Christmas and how what had changed in his character. What did I really know about this gentleman that was in front of me sharing stories of Christmas? And I asked him, "So are you hungry, or do you want me to help you with your personal care?" And he goes, "You know what, to be quite honest, I'm very hungry. And that kind of makes me a little cranky." So I thought, okay, so why don't we just go have breakfast and we can take care of the other needs afterwards? So I wheeled him to his table and we chatted a bit about Christmas, and I was starting to take a leave of him, and he looked at me, took hold of my hand and said, "Come and see me anytime." And I thought, okay, sure, I absolutely will. So I took this experience back into my office, and I thought of some questions that I can help to focus on the possibility of shedding light about his morning routine, where his behaviors were really the most active. So I returned later in the day and I chatted with him, and I kind of weaved my questions into our conversation. And I learned about him in regards to he held a very important role within the administrative role, within the provincial government, and that he really took great pains to look his best. And sometimes, said again, having breakfast first helped with his crankiness. So I spoke to the team in his area and thought, okay, the fact that he's cranky in the morning, there could be definitely a physical component to his behavior. So maybe we should just get a blood work panel done just to make sure he's fine. But in the meantime, why don't we just start with asking him and his input on his care routine? For example, instead of just rushing in to wash his face, why don't we just ask him, would you like your teeth brushed, or would you like your face washed, or would you like to choose your clothing? But by this way, you're giving him some agency over himself. And I just put the two together. Being an administrator with a lot of responsibility, perhaps he just would like that agency over self. And even though we didn't see like 100% improvement, there was quite an improvement in his response to us. So we thought, okay, this is something definitely to look into. So what I found out from that experience was it's important to know who we're taking care of and what their story is. And what came from this for me was maybe we should ask these questions about the other residents. So what I did was implement what I call, there we go. This is me. And it's a sample you see on the page right now on this slide. And it's a one-page sheet that contained information about the resident. And this is me became like a decorated scrapbook, making it look really kind of nice and pretty. And it was posted in the person's room where staff and visitors can see and take bite-sized info about their loved one or resident and learn more about them. So it could either start conversations or just for knowledge. My hope was by capturing these moments, these memories, the history of that person, we as care providers have a more fulsome picture of who they are, and this information can shed light towards approach, likes and dislikes, particularly around care or recreational type therapies. So I'd like to share with you some areas from this page. So in this section, I am asking, and I'm using myself as the topic, just so you know. I want to touch upon these sections now. So in this section, I share what activities I love to do. And in this case, I love crafts and having tea with my friends, watching movies, reading, being in the sunshine, and laughing. So as a care provider, possibly a recreational therapist, reading this about Anna would give me a big clue that if I was to have a crafts event, that there's probably a good chance that Anna will join into it. And as well, if you're a family member, you can bring some of my favorite books, either written or in an auditory format. And in this section, I focus on what I call a hodgepodge series of questions, random facts. What was your previous occupation? Where was I born? Languages spoken? Most interesting place I've been to? What is my favorite movie? These, again, are all great pointers to a great conversation, a deeper understanding of the individual, and a reminder even to the person themselves of who they are. As well, knowing if there's a second language involved, and this is from a care provider perspective, is sometimes as recall becomes a bit more difficult as disease progression goes on, sometimes we revert back to the mother tongue. For myself, my first language I learned was Portuguese. So there's a good chance that if I'm having a struggle recalling a word in English, I may revert back to my mother tongue. So this kind of information is really important to look at and help with communication. And in this section, I talk about topics that the person would love to talk about. And you will see that in this case, politics is something you can talk to Anna about. You might have a very lively type conversation about that, but that's something that's not off the table. And you'll also notice that on here is puppies. She loves puppies. So imagine you're tasked to provide some care to Anna, and you know she loves puppies, and you're a puppy person yourself. So just imagine the positive interaction you'll have as a support worker and speaking to her about puppies. So I'm pretty sure you'll put a big smile on her face because I'm smiling right now. As you can tell, I am this person. I am very much a puppy person.
So from Anna's and my experiences comes the concept of personhood, the importance to focus on the person. This quote, personhood, a standing or status that is bestowed upon one human being by others in the context of relationship and social being. It implies recognition, respect, and trust. So basically what it is saying is we are seeing the individual for who they are and what they have to offer, and that relationships require trust and understanding. And then personhood leads into person-centered care. Preserving personhood is at the heart of person-centered health care. It's a model of care that views the person first, health conditions second. It recognizes the inherent value and dignity, respects individual preferences and choice, supports holistic well-being, body, mind, and spirit. And it's about fostering relationships and collaborations with the individual, family, and the healthcare providers to improve quality of life for everyone involved. So remember the importance of these key concepts. If you are to create a life memory book for a loved one or for a resident in your care, because I think it's also important to think about how might HD affect personhood. We all know that there are losses that come with HD over the years, and losses can impact confidence and sense of self, personality and identity changes, insight and relationships, motivation and participation, and self-determination, which means that the individual may question who they are and where they fit in the world as their HD progresses. So important to keep in the forefront how important it is to respect personhood, look beyond an individual's symptoms, focus on abilities rather than the losses, use person-centered language, be conscious of the words that we use, focus on the person, their abilities, their gifts, not on their HD and all that might come with that. And we know that families play a huge role in helping others know and understand their loved ones and how important that is to keep those family connections. And meaningful social connections help us to preserve a sense of self, and staying active allows us to engage with others and to continue to feel productive in our lives.
And I'm going to speak now about reminiscence therapy. And from the moment that I start speaking on this slide about reminiscence therapy, I just wanted to have a side note. I will be using the short term RT, which is a little bit easier to roll off the tongue and not such a mouthful. So just know that reminiscence therapy is RT for short. So reminiscence therapy RT talks about, adds to what Barb just shared with us when she spoke about personhood, particularly around respecting individual preferences and choice. For you see, through memory recall, we as loved ones or those who work with people with HD can learn about personal preferences and individual choices through their memories. So what is RT to be exact? That's a great question. It is exactly what it sounds like. It is therapy that involves reminiscing. And the treatment, or how it's used, is it uses all the senses, your sight, touch, taste, smell, and hearing, to help those with memory loss or cognitive symptoms remember events, people, and places in their past. And how does it exactly work? Well, this type of therapy works well with those affected by Huntington's. For please remember, recognition is easier than recall for those with HD. And recognition really, in essence, is the answer is there. You just need to recognize it, which is easier. Recall is when there's no answer in front of you and you have to use your memory to find it. So that's a bit tougher for those who struggle with HD with recall, because it does require a lot more concentration. So in using sensory objects that the individual with HD can recognize helps with recalling a memory. So photographs, treasured objects, favorite songs can help stimulate thoughts of the past. And once that memory is just triggered, just even by a look on their face, a smile, the goal at that point is to have a conversation about that object that eventually expands into a deeper discussion around the memory that that object happened to trigger. So for example, one of the items that I remember using was an old record from the 50s that this individual loved listening to every day during his teens. So this record, I not only had it on display, but I also played it in the background, and it helped to activate memories for this person. So what are some of the benefits of RT? Please remember, personal identity may seem to slip away as cognitive abilities decline. But even as individuals begin to lose touch with current events, they can hold onto the most treasured memories, and that is a gift that RT truly gives. And that's like the key message for me. But these are other benefits that RT gives. It improves mood and some cognitive abilities. Where you see, with some encouragement, including simple questions or photos, those sensory objects that we spoke about, memories can help them feel more confident of their abilities because they're able to recognize, so they feel a little bit more empowered, and provide them with the opportunity to talk about what is meaningful to them. The next is improving well-being and behaviors. By sharing positive memories of the past, individuals can develop a bit more of feeling more encouraged, which helps reduce stress and agitation within. Creates connection between caregivers and loved ones. So as you spend time and reminisce and think of all these memories and learning about your loved one, you can shed some light as to who they really are. Not to mention, sharing memories will help preserve family histories for future generations. And helps to alleviate depression and can have a calming effect. Engaging in conversations about the self helps ease boredom and helps relieve symptoms of depression. And provides a renewed sense of identity, as who they were is remembered and some aspects are relived and brought into the present for them. And creates feelings of self-worth, confidence, and purpose as they begin to feel sometimes abandoned or disconnected as HD begins to progress. And RT just allows their voice to feel heard and valued and listened. And RT also helps decrease isolation as people spend more time recollecting these memories with them. And again, like I just said, that sometimes as an illness progresses, sometimes it can feel a bit ignored or neglected as the disease progresses. And this gives a chance for someone to pay attention to the memories they share. It can help them feel connected, and it can help to make them even more connected to themselves. So in essence, we're just bringing the past into the present and reminding they are. And in simpler terms, reminiscence therapy is, and we've all must have heard this, a walk down memory lane. So reliving your story and of those close to you, big and small moments of your life. For example, just listening or hearing a song from the radio that reminded you of when you were a child, and you find yourself singing to that song, thinking of the past. Or when you watch TV and you see a program that your grandmother or your mom used to watch, you think back to them. These are just some examples of walking down memory lane. And as we walk down the lane, we begin to see that it is in our life journey and experiences that shape who we are. That song you heard probably started your love affair with the Beatles. And we're able to recapture those important milestones, reliving moments of success and joy. And you get to re-experience a favorite family vacation or birthday celebration that was a surprise to you. That brings a smile to your face as you recall, recognize, and walk down. And as we recall our memories, we feel connected to the past and the person we were. And again, bringing those feelings into the present. And we are reminded that we are still very much that person we once were. So now I would like to talk about how are we going to capture these memories. And it can be as simple as sitting down over a tea or a coffee, or even having a conversation about their favorite memory, using sensory objects to help with recognition and recall. It can certainly be really structured, like I did with a gentleman with a list of questions, but try to make it conversational if you can. And using photographs and scrap paper, or you can do a video interview. It's so easy nowadays with your phone to do a video interview where you ask questions that prompt memories and record your loved one sharing these memories. The goal here is to create how you would like to capture these memories. Perhaps it is starting a weekly family activity to create a photo album or a scrapbook. Perhaps you would like to create a video or create a family recipe book that encourages conversation over family traditions. Some have used a board game that was, and I actually came across on the net that somebody actually developed one. And I thought this was great because I remember a resident who the best way to connect with them was through board games. The way to have conversations was through board games with them. So that it was just the perfect avenue for recognition and recall for them. And as you create your own way of capturing these memories, you're going to soon discover favorite moments, music, songs, and favorite foods and activities. These are things you're going to discover as you capture these memories. Not only will you discover it, but you will also have a chance to reminisce. Remember, we just spoke about the reminiscence therapy. Help your loved one with recognition through their senses to help with recall. And sometimes it's hard to figure out what to use with the senses. So I'm just going to give you a couple of examples. For sense of smell, try spraying a favorite perfume on yourself or in the room. For touch, try giving them a stuffed toy or a family heirloom. Or sand even. Somebody actually used sand because this person loved the beach. So bringing a bit of sand where they can feel help trigger some memories of childhood memory vacations. Or taste, try to offer a favorite food that they really enjoyed. Marshmallows or rice pudding. I was going to say Rice Krispie squares, but those are personally my favorite. And those two bring me a lot of pleasure. Or listen, you can compile a CD. And if you're not sure what music, maybe look at the era and find one of those CDs that have like various music, and then you'll see what they respond to as well. And for looking, try to look at pictures together or a movie, things that can reminisce, that could trigger memories for that person. And as you create those moments of capturing memories, and as you discover favorite moments and reminisce about past family events, remember to highlight for yourself family history, family recipes, or any traditions, because these will become very important as HD progresses, for they will become, for you, moments that you get to relive or remind you of who your loved one truly is. And your life book doesn't even need to look like a book. It could be, like I mentioned, a collage, a video, anything really. It can be anything, and look any way you want to look. Do what really resonates for you. That's the bottom message. What resonates for you, what resonates for your family, what resonates for your needs as well. And here's just a simple sampling of some ideas and themes you can work through as you develop your life book or page or video. And here we have musical instruments that I play, pets that I have loved, yearly family vacations, excuse me, sports I love to watch and love to play because they can be different, or favorite seasons and why, like I spoke to the gentleman about Christmas, or spirituality. The goal here is to reach those memories, and the bank where they are stored is the best way that is reachable to that person. I was just thinking of one person who the best way to reach his memories was through a farmer's almanac. Put one in his hand, and next thing you know, he was talking about harvests of years past. So that was a great way to connect with him as well. So I just wanted to share a little bit more in depth with some themes. And this one in particular, I guess it's one of my favorites, is family-isms, or another favorite ism are dad-isms, which are pretty popular right now on social media, or dad jokes, as a possible thing to create. So does your family have keywords or phrases that you say all the time? I know in my family, it's a saying, shh, the baby's sleeping, is one that came from a family road trip to Boston. We take 12 people in a van in the middle of the night, and one of those people happens to be a 6-month-old baby, and can get pretty giddy fast as we're all tired in the middle of the night, anxious to get to where we want to go. So anytime things would get out of hand, someone would inevitably say, shh, the baby's sleeping. So that now is transcended years later, as that baby is now 17 years old. And when things get out of hand, inevitably someone will say, shh, the baby's sleeping. So that's just to give you some ideas. And I just found some dadisms that I love to jumpstart some ideas for you. I will turn this car around. You call that a haircut? Turn off the lights. Do I look like a bank to you? I was just resting my eyes. I just love those because I know personally I've heard them at some point in my life. And on this one, another thing you can use as you create your book can be around the theme of a day in the life of, which I know that we touched upon earlier. So what does a day look like for yourself or for your loved one? What routines are familiar? What foods bring comfort? What do you like to do in the afternoon, for example? Do you like to have tea? Do you like to sit and watch The Price is Right? These are all great tidbits of information for not just family members, but for those who may have someone in a care facility. This info gives great clues to those care providers as to what your loved one may like to do or watch. And another theme that I like to touch upon is music. And it's pretty popular. A lot of people music plays a big part in the lives of a lot of people. So do you have a favorite band? Certain songs trigger a memory? I personally like to share a personal experience. I have a friend of mine that turned to me one day and said, Anna, I think your life is a musical. And it got me thinking, you know what? She may be actually right. I have certain songs that trigger memories for me. So what I've done is a playlist of soothing moments of music that reminds me of some moments in my life that brings me a smile. And it helps feed my memory well on those days that I'm just not feeling my best. And they bring me great comfort. For me, it's a great self-care strategy that works. And hopefully it may work for you too. And this one I came across, and I thought this was awesome. And this is the last thing I'll touch upon, is around collectibles and treasure. So do you or your loved one likes to collect stamps from around the world or rare coins? Perhaps somewhere in somebody's attic is a chest chock full of family heirlooms, someone's attic, that deserves to be pulled through and gone through. And sometimes, and here we go, the reminiscence therapy, using the senses to get to those memories. And this thing really does help with that recognition. So when speech can become a challenge, presenting your loved one with an item from their past can spark recognition and joy.
Wow, thank you, Anna. So many good ideas, right? So what should we include? Honestly, we hope the message that you're receiving is whatever is important to you or your loved one. Sharing your life story can include your background, your interests, your likes or dislikes. Dislikes are very important for all of us to know. Significant experiences, memories, some that we may want to talk about and others we don't. Again, really important for us to know these things. I want to ask any of you now to either write in the Q&A tab or to unmute. Do you have any thoughts about what you would like to have included if a life book was created about you, or if you would like to create one for someone else? Are there ideas coming to mind of what would be important for you? And if not, hopefully you're going to be able to take away a whole lot of ideas to take you into the future. And who can help you do this? Certainly the Huntington Society. Reach out to your RCD, your Resource Center Director. If your loved one is already in a care facility, then reach out to them. Or perhaps it could be a group project. It could be done perhaps at a chapter meeting, or at a day program, or a support group that you might belong to. Honestly, it's really whatever is important to you. So this is another example. Anna shared the one-pager that she created in her last employment. And this is another one-pager that the Alzheimer's Society has created. And I'm just going to go through the questions with you. There's a place for a picture. Again, it's a one-pager. I like to be called, and right, some of us have nicknames or have a shortened name. In the past, and this could be about careers, places that I've lived, favorite events or activities. I enjoy. Again, this could be favorite foods, activities, topics of conversation. And down at the bottom, I don't like. And again, this is so important for us to also know. This kind of information can help others understand what possible triggers there could be to make an individual feel uncomfortable. So a very important question to ask. A typical day for me could include, and again, I think this is really important, how we like to get up in the morning. We're all different. Someone may want to sleep in, whereas somebody might be an early riser wanting to start their day with that cup of coffee, or, you know, these are important pieces of people's lives that it is important for us to know. And the last question is, who knows me best? And of course, that can be friends and family. So this is just another idea of what a conversation starter could look like when thinking about creating this. I have a couple of other stories that our other colleagues provided. One of the RCDs who I work with in the Atlantic region shared with me a situation where she was involved, where a mom and stepdad wanted to create a life memory book for their son with HD, who was 42. They involved friends and the whole family, and they worked on it together, creating a picture story from birth until current age. Talked about the sports and scouts and things that this individual did during his youth. He was a drummer in a band. He loved to travel. And when he did move into long-term care, his speech was starting to change a little bit. But apparently this photo album was an icebreaker for conversations, and it brought a lot of laughter into the room when he shared his pictures, first of him having long hair as a teenager and then not having very much hair at the age of 42. But it provided a really important conversation piece. Another of our colleagues shared with me how an younger sibling became a care provider for her older sister who had HD. When she learned about the Life Memory book, just before her sister went into care, she created a photo album of only pictures that provided a really glimpse, a lovely glimpse into into her sister's life. With just photos, it helped to tell a story of her life that people could appreciate and talk about with her. The third example from another colleague was how family vacations are often so important for all of us. Going to the family cottage every year, spending Thanksgiving together, all those holidays, going on cruises, year after year, and the importance of that, and how another family created a life memory book to highlight this person's life through their vacations, but also invited their siblings to kind of share their stories from childhood with pictures. Again, that person's life, their sports, going to university, becoming, into an adult, their career, their awards and appointments, getting married, having children, all along with this highlight of vacations and how important those memories were for all of them. And again, it served as an incredible conversation starter for those working with this individual. So we hope that you have heard all the way through this presentation today the message that a life well lived deserves celebration. A life memory book can provide peace of mind by preserving memories and a connection to the past, a well-rounded picture of your loved one beyond their HD, a focus on the good times, a sense of pride for the individual to be able to share their accomplishments, their contributions, and the joyful moments of their life.
And so to summarize some of the benefits of capturing memories, I would like to remind you again for that those with HD, recognition is easier than recall, and a visual or sensory cue can go a long way to aid in that recognition, which can lead to an easier recall of events or moments. So because remember, those with HD, stored memories are still intact. It is often difficult for a person to recall a memory. However, when prompted through a picture or a smell or a feel of a toy or fabric, there may be more success in bringing up that memory. I'm just thinking of a lovely woman who I worked with who could not recall her daughter's name, but the moment she saw a snapshot of her daughter, she lit right up and took that picture and just hugged it. So I just wanted to reiterate again that the purpose of a life memory book is to use recognition to help with recall. And the aim here to spark, to ignite, to feel a memory from the past and bring it into the present. And there are so many other purposes that a memory book can offer. For example, such as being an icebreaker, a chance to begin a conversation if meeting someone for the first time. It's a getting to know you moment by finding talking points within the book or the page. The example I spoke about earlier, the individual liked to talk about puppies, liked to talk about Christmas. Perhaps there's a shared interest there that leads the way to a very positive social interaction. And another way you can use a memory book is through being a teaching tool. It can help new care providers or new people coming into the circle of care to understand who this person is, their full life and their passions and joys and adventures. The person instead of the illness. It could also teach how to guide care. For example, if the person really does not like the cold, you want to make sure that room is warm. You want to make sure that they're taken care of properly. It can also be used as a communication aid, providing topics of interest, again, for a meaningful conversation. This is also a book for future generations to revisit time and again to learn about this person, be it yourself, be it a loved one. And as you go through the experience of creating a book, You will soon find that the benefits and how the book can and will be used will be just numerous, more than I can even mention here. The point is to see the person beyond HD, and a memory book reminds us of that. And to remember the person, to honor the person, and like Barb mentioned, to celebrate a life well lived.
So in summary, get creative, brainstorm with family and friends, identify a circle of support who can help you do this. Choose the stories that are important to you, share the good, the bad, and the ugly. All are important for others to know. Add photographs that highlight your adventures, create a family video for now and the future. Share those family treasures that are so important to one. We wanted to share the resources that we use for this presentation, all of which could be available to you. They will be placed in the Q&A section, I believe, that you could access today. And if not, certainly reach out to your RCD in your area, and we can make sure that the resources get to you. And we want to thank you for attending our session today.
Thank you very much, Barb and Anna. That was a wonderful presentation. We don't have a lot of questions, but we have just an amazing amount of comments. People really appreciating your ideas and coming up with some ideas of their own. So I just wanted to actually take a minute and read through some. That music really hit home with a few people, and books and TV dramas, and the familyisms was something that people really liked, and memory pictures at the cottage, family recipes, and just really excited to try out so many of these ideas. One question actually that we do have is when would be the best time to create a memory book? And maybe I'll just throw that out to you, Barb, if you want to answer that one.
I think any time is the right time to create a memory book. It's something that you could start early on in someone's life and just add to it ongoing. I don't think any time is too late or any time is too early. And I think we would all enjoy and appreciate having our life story being in one little spot where we could see it and reminisce and enjoy it.
I agree. Anna, how about you? How would you decorate? Can you give some tips and ideas on how you might decorate a memory book?
I love this question because I'm quite the crafter and I love scrapbooking. So I would decorate it based on the person. Like if they love the color purple, use the color purple. If they love sparkles, use sparkles with reckless abandonment. So it really is not limited to anything. Just take those pictures and take those items and just put them in a beautiful way, in a collage if that's easier. There's no wrong or right way to decorate.
I'll just add to that, the books, the memory books that I created with my 4 ladies a number of years ago, because they kind of created themes for their pages, I was able to get scrapbooking materials at Dollarama. Does not have to be expensive, kind of to match the themes. And so, as I mentioned, each month their job was to kind of decorate those pages and whatever that theme was. So it's really quite easy to find inexpensive materials, Dollarama, probably Walmart, any craft store, and it's about using your imagination as well.
Good point.
That's wonderful. Thank you very much, ladies. That was a wonderful presentation. It's such a beautiful concept and such a great idea to share with family. It's now time to wrap up with our final community awards, and then the closing keynote, which will take place at 4:45 Eastern Standard Time. And I'm looking forward to seeing everyone there. So if you just hang tight, we'll take a moment to recognize the final community awards here and carry on.